Hey guys, it's MMA Vulture coming at you live with UFC Fight Night, Royval versus Taira, weigh-in recap, as well as my final predictions on this card. And we're going to go ahead and jump into the first bout of the night, being Clayton Carpenter versus Lucas Rocha. And I'm going with Clayton Carpenter. I think he's the more well-rounded fighter out of the two. Yes, they both have great striking. Both look good in the striking department with heavy hands on both sides. I feel like Clayton Carpenter is the more well-rounded fighter because he has good grappling to go along with his good striking. He's got strong takedowns. He's very dangerous in his submissions. And I feel like he's got the grappling advantage over Lucas Rocha. And he also not only has the grappling advantage, he has a significant height and reach advantage against Lucas, which is definitely something to note. I feel like Lucas Rocha, yes, has good striking. He has heavy hands to knock people out. He's got nasty knees and elbows on the inside. I feel like he's got decent grappling. I feel like that's somewhere where Clayton Carpenter can kind of exploit and use in his favor to beat somebody like Lucas Rocha, who kind of is a chaotic fighter at sometimes. I feel like he thrives in a brawl, and I feel like Clayton Carpenter is a little bit more selective with his shots, a little bit more technical, and I feel like he can catch Lucas Rocha. And I feel like this fight is going to go to decision. I feel like Clayton Carpenter is going to outstrike, overwhelm, overpressure Lucas Rocha and beat him. I feel like Clayton Carpenter has all the skills to change levels, mix up his shots very, very well, and just put the paws on somebody like Lucas, who I think kind of has a puncher's chance, to be honest. He's got great fight IQ. He's been in tons and tons of fight at such an early age of 24. So he has a lot of fighting experience, but I really think that Clayton Carpenter is just the more well-rounded fighter and is going to be able to take Lucas down and fare very well in the striking department. I feel like he's definitely going to be the obvious grappling advantage, have the obvious grappling advantage. So give me Clayton Carpenter to beat Lucas Rocha, and let's look at them on the scales, in which we have Lucas Rocha first, Rocha, and he looks blessed apparently. He looks jacked, he looks healthy, he looks ready for war with his glasses on. And let's look at Clayton Carpenter, who looks absolutely jacked, insane, lean. He looks ready to fight. And let's look at these two facing off, in which you can tell Clayton Carpenter has a slight height advantage. And he also has that reach advantage. So I think that he can definitely outstrike, overwhelm, overpressure somebody like Lucas Rocha, who isn't the best in the grappling department, and I feel like is going to struggle with Clayton Carpenter's takedowns. I also think that he's going to outstrike Lucas Rocha, who I think has the puncher's chance. And let's move to the fight odds on this fight, in which we have Clayton Carpenter at a negative 222 and Lucas Rocha sitting at a plus 187. And I like Clayton Carpenter. You get a lot of value at the negative 222 money line. I think there's a lot of value in that because of how good he is in not only the striking department, but in the grappling department. He could end up submitting Lucas Rocha, but I think that it's going to go to decision. I see these two as two very competitive prospects on the come up. And I think that these two aren't very chinny. I know that yes, they both have that knockout power, but like we thought in the Pereira fight, two very dominant fighters. I feel like these two are going to feel each other out the first round, kind of tag each other up going into the second and third round, start heating up between these two. I feel like it's going to be a brawl, but I feel like it's going to go over. I really do, and I know a lot of people are going to be shocked at that, but I think Clayton Carpenter and Lucas Rocha is going to go over 1.5 sitting at negative 285, over 2.5 sitting at negative 145. If you want to get a little bit froggier and go for that over 2.5 with negative 145, I think it's live. I really do. I think Clayton Carpenter by decision. And let's look at Clayton Carpenter by decision. and that's sitting at a plus 140, plus 130. I like those odds. If you want to not take as much risk, go Clayton Carpenter money line route. You're still getting great value. If you want to take a little bit more risk, go decision route. I like that. And the overs are definitely great value as well. Let's move right along to the next fight. I'm taking Clayton Carpenter over Lucas Rocha. And move along to the next bout, in which we got Dan Argueta versus Cody Haddon. And I've been flipping back and forth between these two because Cody Haddon is a great striker, and Dan Argueta has been up against some of the toughest competitive fighters, I feel like. And I got to go with Dan Argueta. I feel like he's going to get it done against Cody Haddon. And I know that's going to shock a lot of you, but I think Dan Argueta is durable and a tough pressure fighter type of style. And I feel like he's going to pressure Cody Haddon, shoot for those takedowns, and ultimately get Cody Haddon down, maintain control of you when he gets you down. And I feel like that's what's going to happen to Cody Haddon. He's going to maintain control of him. He ended up taking down Matsumoto in their last fight, which is a highly touted prospect, and he's got high level grappling, and he took down Matsumoto multiple times, like I said. So I feel like he has the obvious grappling advantage in this fight. I know Cody Haddon is a sniper. He's got a great striking abilities. He's got great striking abilities. He's got clean, quick combinations, snappy high and low kicks. He did in his last fight drop Billy Brand and then immediately take the back and go for it and got the submission. Oh my gosh, I can't talk. But I feel like Dan Argueta is gonna get a dog win in this. I feel like it's gonna turn to more of a brawl, which in this case kind of helps Dan Argueta. I feel like he's gonna be able to level change very, very well. Move in and out of the pocket with ease against Cody Haddon. Yes, I know Cody Haddon, like I said, is a sniper, has great counter-punching abilities, but I feel like he's going to struggle with somebody like Dan Argueta, who is a pit bull. Man, he is tough and durable as hell. I really feel like he's not going to stop until Cody Haddon really puts him out if it comes to shove. But I think Dan Argueta is going to be able to get those takedowns. He's going to fare well in the striking department against Cody Haddon, and even better in the grappling department against somebody like Cody Haddon. Give me Dan Argueta to beat Cody Haddon, and which is another prospect they put him up against. First Nick Arguire, and then these two no contest, and then you got Matsumoto, another highly touted prospect. And let's look at the photos here, in which we have Cody Haddon first, looking jacked as always, looking healthy, looking mean. And then let's move along to Dan Argueta. Same thing, looking jacked, looking lean, looking healthy. And let's look at them facing off, in which Cody Haddon has a slight height advantage as well as reach advantage. So it's going to be an interesting one. I feel like Cody Haddon is looking a little bit more filled out, but they both look strong, healthy, and ready for war. Let's look at the fight odds on this one, in which we got Cody Haddon sitting at a negative 175, Dan Argueta sitting at a plus 150. I like Dan Argueta at a plus 150. I think he's going to take it to the ground where Cody Haddon kind of struggles, and I feel like Dan Argueta is going to be able to maintain that control, land some devastating ground and pound, some nice elbows from top position, and beat Cody Haddon. I like the over in this fight as well. Over 1.5 sitting at negative 310. Over 2.5 sitting at negative 170. I think this fight, along with the last one, definitely goes to decision. I feel like, yes, Cody Haddon could put Dan Argueta out, but I feel like he's tough as nails and durable. I think this goes to decision. I think this goes to the scorecards. Give me Dan Argueta to beat Cody Haddon. I think he toughs this one out. Level changes. I think that Argueta's keys to winning this is to not just sit there and throw out the jab and throw out punches that aren't really meaning anything. Go out there, throw the punches like you're meaning something, and mix in those level changes with it to get those takedowns. I feel like if he doesn't do that, then Cody Haddon's going to shine and pick him apart and outstrike him. I feel like Dan Argueta needs to mix up his shots very well to the head and to the body, and then also mix in those level changes to get those takedowns, which is what I feel like he needs to beat Cody Haddon. Give me Dan Argueta to beat Cody Haddon. And let's move to the next bout on this card, in which we have Cory McKenna versus Julia Polastri. And I'm going the Psycho over Poppins. I think Julia Polastri is going to beat Cory McKenna. I really do. I think that Cory McKenna is a great striker. I feel like Julia Polastri is the better grappler and the more dangerous striker. I feel like Julia Polastri is going to outstrike her, overwhelm her, mix in those takedowns. And I feel like a lot of people are going to think this is wild, but I feel like Julia Polastri could get a submission on Cory McKenna. I've been saying it. That is one of the DGen props I had. I feel like Julia Polastri could dog her way to a submission, outstrike, overwhelm Cory McKenna, mix in those takedowns, get those takedowns, advance positions, which is what she does really well. I feel like Polastri is going to do that against McKenna, advance those positions, and could ultimately find that neck, find that armbar against Cory McKenna, who is a tough fighter. Don't get me wrong. She is no easy opponent, but I feel like Julia Polastri is just the better overall fighter in terms of striking, in terms of grappling. She's the more dangerous grappler, the more dangerous striker. She mixes up her shots very, very well. Give me Julia Polastri, the Psycho, to beat Cory McKenna Poppins. And let's look at the photos here, the weigh-ins, in which we have, obviously they skipped a few. We got Justin Tafa. There we go. Here's McKenna first. Cory McKenna first. She's looking happy, looking ready for war. I'm ready for this chick fight between McKenna and Polastri. I'm really excited for this one. And let's look at Polastri on the scales, smiling, throwing up the bowls. Let's go. I think that Julia Polastri is going to lock in this submission. I really do. I think either way she's going to beat McKenna. And it's going to be a great, great fight between these two. And let's look at the face-off between these two. Intense. They both look ready for war. I can't wait for this one. In which McKenna looks slightly taller, but they look basically even in height. And let's look at the fight odds for this fight, in which we have McKenna sitting at a plus 114 and Julia Polastri sitting at a negative 134. So it's very close in terms of the odds. I like Polastri, I really do. Negative 134, over 1.5 sitting at negative 900, over 2.5 sitting at negative 475. I get everybody seeing that it's going to go to decision. I think that Polastri could ultimately find the submission. If she doesn't, I obviously think it's going to go to decision, but I think Polastri could dog her way to a submission against Cory McKenna. And that's sitting at a plus, where is it? Plus 500. I feel like she could lock up that submission. She is very, very dangerous on the ground, and I feel like a lot of people are underestimating that side of things. Give me Julia Polastri to beat Cory McKenna. And let's move along to the next bout, in which we have Junior Tafa versus Sharaf, in which this fight did end up getting switched. Sharaf is actually taking on Junior Tafa short notice and taking place for Chris Barnett. I'm still going to go with my man Junior Tafa. I feel like he's the more technical fighter still out of these two. I did watch Sharaf. He's got that knockout power just like every other heavyweight, light heavyweight. And he's got a knockout over LJ Torres, which he looked clean in. He's got devastating knockout power. But I think that Junior Tafa is just going to be the more technical fighter. I feel like he's going to pick apart Sharaf, land that devastating shot to put Sharaf out early, to be honest. I really don't see this going rounds, that's for sure. I think Junior Tafa gets Sharaf out of there. And let's look at the weigh-ins. Let's scroll back up because they had these a little bit off, not in the right order. But let's look at Sharaf looking jacked. He looks healthy. He definitely looks ready to go to war on such short notice against somebody in Tafa who is a beast, bro. Yes, he has no ground game, but neither does Sharaf. This is going to be a straight up bang brawl. It's going to be insane. In which Junior Tafa, I feel like, is going to get the better of him because he's the more technical fighter and he's the cleaner striker. In which we got Junior Tafa right here looking jacked, looking healthy, ready for war. Let's look at them facing off. Intense face-off here. They're right in each other's eyes. This is insane, man. I'm excited for this one because you already know this is going to be literally a stand and bang fight. So they're going to be throwing on the feet. And let's look at the odds on that fight, in which we have Junior Tafa sitting at a negative 300, Sharaf sitting at a plus 250, which kind of makes sense, obviously, seeing as Sharaf is coming in on such short notice. And then the over 1.5 sitting at a plus 245, and over 2.5 sitting at a plus 375. I like the odds on the under sitting at negative 300. I really think that Junior Tafa gets Sharaf out of there. They're both knockout artists and have devastating knockout power. I think Junior Tafa gets him out of there. I mean, there's not much really to say. They both don't have any ground game, so it's going to be straight throwing fist, and I feel like Junior Tafa is just a more technical fighter. Give me Junior Tafa to beat Sharaf. And let's move along to the next bout, in which we have Niko Price versus Themba Gorimbo. And I like this fight, dude, because you got somebody in Niko Price who is kind of wild at times, but he's got knockout power. He's got crazy knockout power. He's a good striker with decent grappling. I do worry about his cardio as the fight goes on longer, which is why I'm picking Themba Gorimbo. I feel like his explosiveness, his speed is going to be an insane factor. Not only that, his cardio is going to be a factor here. I feel like he's got great striking with heavy hands. He's also not only a good striker, he's a good grappler with good takedown defense. He's got strong takedowns. I feel like he's going to be the overall better fighter. He also has a slight reach and height advantage over Niko Price. I feel like his explosiveness is what's going to put him ahead of somebody like Niko Price, who also is chinny, like I said in my previous videos. He got knocked out by Robbie Lawler and Phil Rowe, as you guys can see. So he is a little bit chinny. That is something to worry about. He did beat Morono in their last fight, which Morono looked kind of like shit, was gassing. So you got two fighters who looked gas come second and third round. I think Themba Gorimbo could ultimately put out Niko. I really do think so. I think Themba Gorimbo has that knockout power. He's got that explosiveness to help him enter and exit the pocket with ease. And I feel like he's going to use that against somebody like Niko Price, who is chinny. And I feel like Themba Gorimbo is going to find that chin of Niko Price and put his lights out. And let's look at the weigh-in photos, in which we have, gotta scroll down, Niko Price first, looking like a dog, sticking out his tongue, looking jacked. He does look jacked, but man, I gotta go with Themba Gorimbo. Look at this savage. Look at this freaking savage. He's got insanely long arms. He's got the height advantage. I think he's got this in the bag. He's the more explosive fighter too. I feel like he finds the chin of Niko Price. Let's look at the face-off here, in which you could tell he has got a slight height advantage. Niko Price looks a little bit more filled out. I will say that. I'll be completely honest in that, but I don't think that's going to matter here. I'm going to be completely honest. The explosiveness, the speed is what's going to catch Niko Price. And let's look at the odds on this fight, in which we have Themba Gorimbo at a negative 410, Niko Price sitting at a plus 310. I like Gorimbo. I like Gorimbo by knockout. Let's look at that. Over 1.5. Also, I do want to bring up the rounds before we get to the knockout. Over 1.5 sitting at negative 225. Under 1.5 sitting at plus 170. I like the over 1.5, but I also like the under 2.5. I feel like Gorimbo is gonna be anywhere around. I honestly think that Gorimbo. Yeah, I gotta go under 1.5. Honestly, I like the under 1.5 and the under 2.5. I think Gorimbo finds the chin of Niko Price. I feel like Niko Price is going to struggle with Gorimbo's speed, like I said, and Gorimbo's going to be able to enter and exit the pocket easily, find those strikes, pick apart Niko Price, and ultimately find that knockout. Gorimbo, by knockout, is sitting right at a plus 210, plus 175. I think that is very, very live. I think Gorimbo's explosiveness is going to launch him forward into Niko Price. And I think Niko Price isn't going to know what to do with the Gorimbo's blitzing abilities. And he's going to get tagged and caught and put on his ass. Give me Gorimbo to beat Niko Price. And let's look at the next fight, in which we got Jonathan Pearce versus Pat Sabatini. And I feel like this is a coin flip. I'm going to be honest. I really do. I think it's a little bit closer than these odds are suggesting. I think Jonathan Pearce is the better striker. I feel like I got to go with Pearce because he's just faced better competition also. He is coming off of a loss against Onama, which he didn't look terrible, but he didn't look like his normal self. I feel like he looked a little bit flat, a little bit dull, but I think he's going to come out a lot better. And then he lost to Joe Anderson Brito, in which Brito is one of those top contenders with great, great fighting experience and great skills. I think Jonathan Pearce is going to be the better striker. He's going to maintain distance from somebody like Pat Sabatini. He's going to use his good, clean combinations to keep Pat Sabatini at bay. He's a decent grappler. When it comes to the grappling department, I feel like Sabatini is definitely going to have that advantage. But I feel like Jonathan Pearce is going to be able to fare well in that department in the sense that takedowns, I feel like he's going to be able to snub a lot of Pat Sabatini's takedowns. And also, I feel like he's going to be the stronger fighter out of the two. Give me Jonathan Pearce to beat Pat Sabatini. Pat Sabatini is a little bit chinny. If you guys didn't know, he got knocked out by Damon Jackson. And I think that somebody like Jonathan Pearce, who is a good technical striker and has that knockout power, could catch Pat Sabatini and pick him apart, to be honest. I think he picks him apart. And Damon Jackson also isn't even known as a finisher, so I'm quite surprised that he knocked out Pat Sabatini. But either way, I'm sticking with JSP. Give me Jonathan Pearce to beat Pat Sabatini, and let's look at the weigh-ins, in which we got Pat Sabatini first, looking jacked, absolutely yoked, lean, looking ready for war, looking healthy, made weight. And let's look at Jonathan Pearce, looking a little bit leaner, looking shredded, looking jacked. He looks healthy, man. This is going to be a great fight between these two. I don't know what kind of tattoo he's got going on there. And I don't even know what it is, to be completely honest. But it's interesting, that's for sure. And let's look at the face-off, in which, as you can tell, Jonathan Pearce has a tremendous height advantage. And Pat Sabatini is a lot shorter. He is a little bit more filled out, I will say, but I think Jonathan Pearce is going to be able to keep him at bay, strike from the outside, maintain distance, and just pick him apart, outstrike him, and overwhelm Pat Sabatini. And also fare well in the grappling department, snubbing those takedowns. And let's look at the odds on these two, in which we have Pat Sabatini plus 159, Jonathan Pearce negative 184. I'm leaning towards Jonathan Pearce. I like Jonathan Pearce. I feel like he's going to be able to piece up Pat Sabatini from the outside, maintain distance, and snub Pat Sabatini's takedowns. And if he does end up getting him down, I feel like Jonathan Pearce is going to use his legs to put him at Pat Sabatini's hips and throw him and use them to get up quickly. So give me Jonathan Pearce to beat Pat Sabatini. I think this does go to decision. I think this does go to the scorecards. Over 1.5 sitting at a negative 350. Over 2.5 sitting at negative 170. I like Jonathan Pearce via decision. I like the money line as well, negative 184. You get great value there. Let's look at Pearce via decision, sitting at a plus 200, plus 185. I like that. I see that as very live. I think Pearce wins this via decision. I think he keeps Pat Sabatini at bay, outstrikes him, maintains distance, strikes from the outside, and just picks him apart. Give me Jonathan Pearce to beat Pat Sabatini. And let's move along to the next bout, in which we got an amazing fight right here. I'm really stoked for this one because I want to see how Temirov does in the UFC. I'm really, really excited to see this one because Temirov was this close to being my lock of the week. I literally was so close to locking him because I think he's going to get it done. He's one of my more confident picks on this card. I think he actually beats the crap out of CJ Vergara. I'm going to be honest, I really do think that. I think he ends up knocking out CJ Vergara. The longer that this fight goes on, I feel like it definitely favors Temirov. I feel like he's the more explosive and quicker fighter here. He's a great striker with precise striking abilities. He's a one-punch knockout power type of fighter. He mixes up his shots well. And not only is he a great striker, he is a great grappler. He's got dangerous submissions. He's got strong takedowns. He looks good on the ground, either in top position or even on the bottom. Either way, he looks good on the ground and in the striking department. There's nowhere this guy struggles at all. I like Temirov. I think he has the skills to be one of the best flyweights. I really do. I think that he could rise up these rankings very fast if he gets a knockout over CJ Vergara. If he goes in there and beats the crap out of CJ Vergara and makes this look completely one-sided, I think that they start pushing him up towards the rankings, and he could be one of the most exciting flyweights in a couple of years. I really do. CJ Vergara is a good striker, yes. He's a good grappler. He did get wrestle-fucked by Alembayev. He does have a couple of wins over Vincus, Salvador, and Daniel Lasarda, but those were two of the worst flyweights in the division, and I think somebody like Temirov is just going to outstrike, overwhelm, and just beat the crap out of CJ Vergara. Give me Temirov to beat CJ Vergara. And let's look at the photos here, the weigh-in photos, in which we have Temirov on the scale looking jacked, looking lean, looking healthy, looking ready for fucking war. And let's look at the next fighter in CJ Vergara. He still looks jacked. He looks lean. He looks ready for war. He definitely has that straight face. He looks like he just got caught doing something he's not supposed to be doing because he looks... But either way, gonna be a freaking brawl here. And you could see these two facing off here. Temirov smiling. I think this is gonna be a freaking absolute brawl. But I think that Temirov is gonna destroy fucking CJ Vergara, if I'm gonna be completely honest. I think he absolutely destroys him. And let's go ahead and look at the odds on this fight, in which we have Temirov sitting at negative 350 and Carlos Vergara sitting at a plus 285. I like Temirov. I'm going to say this right now. Even at a negative 350, I'm putting him in parlays. I wouldn't moneyline him. To be fair, that's just me. You could definitely moneyline him, but I'm going the parlay route. I'm tossing him in a couple of my parlays, to be completely honest. Myself, I definitely think that he beats Carlos Vergara. And I also have him by knockout in some of my parlays as well. Temirov by knockout sitting at a plus 220, plus 250. So obviously odds makers definitely see it happening. He is a freaking beast. He really is. I think he knocks out CJ Vergara. Give me Temirov to beat Carlos Vergara. And let's move along to the next bout, in which we got D-Rod versus Alex Morono. And I gotta go with D-Rod, man. I know D-Rod has been on a losing streak, and I get it. He's lost to Kevin Gastelum, which they did go up in weight, so he kind of got weight fucked there. But listen, I think he's gonna come out and he's gonna beat Alex Morono. In Alex Morono's last fight against Niko Price, like I said earlier, he's looking gassed. And I feel like lately he hasn't been looking the best. His cardio hasn't been looking the best. He hasn't been looking the best in terms of striking, in terms of grappling. I feel like he's just kind of starting to fall off. And I feel like D-Rod, yes, he has he has had his kind of fall off with his losses, but if you look at the competition, is it really a fall off? Like, yes, it's a fall off, but dude, Neil Magny is a great fighter. It's not like he's losing to some cans out here. Ian Machado Gary, an amazing fighter that ended up knocking him out. But again, a great prospect that is a great fighter. Then you got Kevin Gastelum, who he's also a decent fighter and good. Given that D-Rod definitely looked awful in that fight, I think that he comes out and beats an Alex Morono who gave Niko Price, or who looked awful against Niko Price. In which I feel like if you put D-Rod and Niko Price, I think D-Rod could definitely beat Niko Price. I'm going to be honest. I think that he could. Give me D-Rod to beat Alex Morono, and I think as this fight goes on, it's definitely going to favor D-Rod, and you're going to see D-Rod start outstriking and just overwhelming and looking like the better fighter come the end of the fight. And let's look at the face-offs here. I wish they have Josh from first. No. There we go. We got Alex Morono looking jacked. He's got that sick Gracie tattoo. The spider and all. And now we got D-Rod. Sick tattoos. Looking jacked. Looking ready for war. I think he gets it done against Alex Morono, who's going to gas out come later second round. Later second round. And third round, he's definitely going to be gassed. Let's look at the face-off here, in which it looks intense, man. As you can see, D-Rod is actually a slight bit taller than Alex Morono, and I feel like he's going to be the tougher fighter here. He's going to be the more durable fighter, and I feel like he's going to beat Alex Morono. I think as the fights go on, you could see Daniel Rodriguez maybe even getting a knockout if Alex Morono starts to tire out. Let's look at the fight odds on this, in which we have Daniel Rodriguez sitting at a negative 220, Alex Morono sitting at a plus 185. And I like Daniel Rodriguez. I really do. I see a lot of value in the money line. Over 1.5, sitting at a negative 350. Over 2.5, sitting at a negative 190. I like the over 1.5. I wouldn't really want to touch the over 2.5, seeing as Alex Morono starts to get a little bit gassed out. But over 1.5 at negative 350, great value there. And let's look at Daniel Rodriguez to win by decision, sitting at a plus 155. I like Daniel Rodriguez by decision. That is my call here. But I will say that I do also like the knockout, only for the fact that Morono does start to get gassed out. So I also like that. If you want to go a little bit more risky, go the knockout route. I see it happening. I think it's live. But give me Rodriguez via decision. That's what I'm going with. And let's move along to the next bout, in which we have Grant Dawson versus Rafa Garcia. And I got to stick with my boy, KGD. I'm sticking with Grant Dawson over Rafa Garcia. I think Grant Dawson is a great grappler. I think he's going to beat Rafa Garcia, who is a dangerous striker, but I feel like Grant Dawson's pressure wrestler fight style is going to give Rafa Garcia problems. I feel like Grant Dawson is going to take Rafa Garcia down immediately, shoot for those takedowns, in which, dude, Grant Dawson is coming off of a win against Joe Selecki, and he looked great in that. He absolutely dominated him. And in their bout, in his bout against Selecki, looked great on the feet, looked great in the grappling department. I really had nothing to complain about. I feel like he looked great, phenomenal. And I think that if he comes out looking like that against somebody like Rafa Garcia, he gets it done for sure. I think that Grant Dawson is going to take Rafa Garcia down. He's going to mix in his strikes, mix in his level changes so that Rafa Garcia can't see it coming, get him down. And as soon as Grant Dawson gets him down, if Rafa Garcia can't get up, Grant Dawson is going to maintain control of him, land some devastating ground and pound, and beat the crap out of Rafa Garcia, because Grant Dawson is amazing at advancing positions, and if he can get you down, you are in serious trouble, and I think that's going to be the case here against Rafa Garcia. Rafa Garcia, I feel like, has a puncher's chance in this. I really do. Give me Grant Dawson to beat Rafa Garcia. And let's look at the weigh-in photos, in which we got Grant Dawson right here, looking jacked, looking healthy, looking ready for war. And I skipped over Rafa Garcia. And then let's look at Rafa Garcia, jacked, healthy. Man, I'm excited for this one. I think Grant Dawson is a great, confident pick of mine. I will say that. Let's look at these two facing off, in which Grant Dawson is slightly taller as well. And I really think that he gets it done here. I feel like he puts the pressure, overwhelms Rafa Garcia, takes him down, and just maintains control and lands some devastating ground and pound. And let's look at the odds on this fight, in which we have Grant Dawson sitting at a negative 400, Rafa Garcia sitting at a plus 300. I like Grant Dawson. He's another one that I would add to the parlays. At negative 400, I see him beating Rafa Garcia. I really do. He's one of my more confident picks. Over 1.5 sitting at negative 550. That is also great value. Negative 285. I think Grant Dawson gets it done by either submission or decision. I really could see Grant Dawson finding that submission against Rafa Garcia. He has been submitting multiple people lately, so I feel like he's starting to find that submission ability. Even though we already knew he's dangerous in that department, I feel like he could find it here. Give me Grant Dawson to beat Rafa Garcia. And let's look at the odds for the submission. For decision, they have it at negative 155. Submission, they have it at plus 325. I really like Grant Dawson via submission. If you don't want to take the risk, take Grant Dawson money line. I would like it at negative 400. That's a great parlay addition. In which, let's move to the next bout. Chidi Bang Bang Njokuani versus Jared Gooden. And I'm going with Chidi Bang Bang, man. I think Chidi Bang Bang gets it done here. I think he's got electric hands in this. I think that his nasty Muay Thai style is going to give Jared Gooden problems. I think he's a good striker with an arsenal of kicks. And I say arsenal of kicks because he has amazing kicks and a bag of them. He maintains distance really well. That is something that Chidi really likes to do, is maintain distance, strike from the outside. He enters the pocket and enters and exits the pocket with ease. He's a good grappler with good takedown defense. He's got a huge reach and height advantage over somebody like Jared Gooden. I think that Chidi Bang Bang is going to get it done here, dude. I think he's going to run over the night train Jared Gooden. I'm going to be honest. I feel like Jared Gooden's only way to win this is to make it a freaking chaotic brawl type of fight. That is where Jared Gooden thrives, is in a brawl. He's a good striker with dirty inside boxing, with knockout power. He leaves his head on the center line too much, which leads to him getting hit and touched up like he did against Wellington Turman. I feel like, again, this is one of those ones where I feel like Jared Gooden has just a puncher's chance. I feel like Chidi Bang Bang is going to absolutely destroy him in this. Give me Chidi Bang Bang to beat Jared Gooden, the night train. And let's look at the face-offs here, the weigh-ins, in which we have Gooden first. And he looks jacked. He looks healthy. He really does. And let's look at Chidi Bang Bang. He's got the little ears, the beats or something in his ears, but he looks like a freaking savage. Absolutely jacked, lean. He's a machine, man. Let's look at the face-off here, in which you could see Chidi has a definite height advantage. He's going to have a reach advantage. Give me Chidi Bang Bang to beat the night train. And let's look at the fight odds on this. Chidi sitting at a negative 160 or negative 155. Jared Gooden sitting at a plus 135. Give me Chidi Bang Bang at negative 155. You're getting great value in that. I really don't see how this is a negative 155 plus 135. I get that Jared Gooden has a puncher's chance, but I feel like that's about all he's got. Give me Chidi Bang Bang, and let's look at Chidi by knockout, because I see this happening. Chidi Bang Bang sitting at a plus 160. Bang Bang 160. Give me that. Chidi Bang Bang by knockout. That's my call. Let's move along to the next bout, in which we got the co-main event. And also my lock of the week, the Iron Turtle. I got the Iron Turtle. I think he gets it done here. I really do. I think he beats Brad Tavares because JunYong Park is consistently getting better. Every single fight you can tell he's getting better to some degree. I feel like he's a more well-rounded fighter. He's a good striker with quick, stiff jabs. He's got good grappling. He's got dangerous submissions. He's got the speed and striking advantage against somebody like Brad Tavares, who is a solid kickboxer. I will say that. But I feel like he lacks in the grappling department. I feel like he's a little bit chinny because he did get knocked out by Rodriguez and Bruno Silva. So he definitely doesn't have the best chin. And Park does have knockout power. Yes, he hasn't really showed it off lately as much because he's been showing off his submission finishes skills. But don't forget, he still has that power. And Brad Tavares is a little bit chinny. But give me JunYong Park to beat Brad Tavares. And let's look at the weigh-ins, in which we got JunYong Park smiling, cheesing, looking jacked, looking healthy. I think he gets it done against somebody like Brad Tavares. Let's just look at Brad Tavares. He looks jacked. I'm not going to lie. He looks absolutely jacked. He looks healthy. Brad Tavares is looking great. But is he going to be able to get it done against the Iron Turtle? I don't think so. Let's look at the face-off here, in which Tavares looks slightly taller here. But I still think that's not going to matter against somebody that, like JunYong Park, who's consistently getting better, has the speed and striking advantage here. And I think he's going to outstrike, overwhelm, and pressure Brad Tavares, and could ultimately find that knockout. I will say that. But JunYong Park, definitely going to get it done. My lock of this week. And let's look at the odds on these two, in which we have JunYong Park sitting at a negative 205. Brad Tavares sitting at a plus 175. And when I previously called out JunYong Park, I think he was around a negative 190, negative 180, somewhere around there. I like JunYong Park. I see a lot of value in this. I think that he definitely beats Brad Tavares. He's the better, more well-rounded fighter. He is a dog, and he is consistently getting better. Give me JunYong Park to beat Brad Tavares. Let's look at the over 1.5 sitting at negative 485. Over 2.5 sitting at a negative 285. I like the over 1.5. See a lot of value in that. I think JunYong Park is going to beat him via decision. I'm going to say via decision, but I'm going to leave out the side that he could get a knockout. Because I feel like JunYong Park has that knockout power, and Brad Tavares is a little bit chinny, but I'm going to go as my pick, JunYong Park via decision. I think he is going to definitely beat Brad Tavares. I think he outstrikes him, overwhelms him, picks him apart, beats him. Give me JunYong Park, my lock of the night, to beat Brad Tavares. And let's move to the main event. And if you guys haven't, don't forget to like and subscribe. And let's jump right into this main event, which I'm freaking excited for because a whole lot of you guys are going to hate me on this. I mean, I'm sticking with the raw dog, Brandon Royval. I mean, how can I not? Tatsuro is still unproven, man. He's beat Alex Perez, yes. But, dude, like I said, how are we going to... If this fight was to keep going, Alex Perez had the first round. Second round, I feel like Tatsuro was starting to find himself a little bit more, but I still feel like Alex Perez could have definitely beat him. I think that Tatsuro is going to be, Brandon Royval is going to be Taira's biggest competitor as of yet. I think he's going to give him his hardest fight. I think this is no easy work for him. I think that a lot of you are thinking that Taira is going to go in there and make easy work of Brandon Royval. Brandon Royval is coming off of a win against Brandon Morono, who is the previous champ. And there is no way I see Taira walking over somebody like Brandon Royval. I honestly think that Brandon Royval is actually going to have the striking advantage. I'm going to be completely honest. Taira, if he comes out looking like he did against Alex Perez, he was getting worked on the feet against Alex Perez in that first round. That was a clear Alex Perez first round. I think if he looks like that, Brandon Royval is going to take complete advantage of that. And not only that, I feel like as this fight goes on, it's going to favor Brandon Royval 100%. Yes, I get Taira earlier in the rounds is going to be very dangerous. I will say that. I think he's definitely going to be dangerous, but I think that this is his biggest test yet, and if he beats him, then I got nothing to say. I mean, Taira's a beast if he beats him. But I have my doubts, and I'm going with Brandon Royval to beat Taira, and I think he gets it done. I think he's going to be the better striker. I think in terms of the grappling department, he's going to fare well. I mean, they have him at like plus 1,800 for submission. But, dude, Brandon Royval is a great submission artist. Like, don't sleep on that. Brandon Royval is an amazing submission artist. Yes, I get Taira is also a great submission artist, but, dude, there's nothing to sleep on with Brandon Royval. Give me Brandon Royval to beat Taira. And let's look at the weigh-ins, in which we got Taira first. Looking jacked, looking healthy. And let's look at Brandon Raw Dog Royval. Same thing. Looking healthy, looking lean, looking ready for war. I think this is going to be an absolute brawl between these two. I'm going to be completely honest. I think this is going to be a great, great fight. And I'm very excited for this one. I think Brandon Royval could check Taira. And let's look at the face-off here, in which they look relatively the same height. I feel like if anybody looks slightly taller, it's Brandon Royval, but very, very, very minimal. Either way, both look jacked, both look healthy, and both look ready for war, staring each other down crazy. And let's look at the fight odds for these two, in which we got Brandon Royval at a plus 275, Taira at a negative 335. Obviously, there's a lot of money coming in on the Taira route. He was previously a negative 350. Then he started going down to a negative 160, started making his way back up, and now sitting at a negative 335. I like Brandon Royval. I think he's the better striker. I'm going to be completely honest. I think he's the more dangerous striker. I think as the rounds go on, it's going to favor more towards Royval's side. I think he can get it done here. I think he can fraud check somebody like Taira, who is a great fighter. Don't get me wrong. By fraud check, I mean that Taira is a young prospect that I feel like has a little bit more developing to do. And as he starts to develop, he's going to be insane. Insane. I just feel like he's so young right now that somebody like Brandon Royval is a tough test. And not an easy one at all. So this is going to be an electric brawl right here. And let's look at the over 1.5 sitting in negative 425, over 2.5, negative 205, over 3.5, negative 125. I like the overs in this fight. I really do. I like the over 2.5 sitting at negative 205. I like the over 3.5 sitting at negative 125. If you want to be a little bit more risky, go for the over 3.5. But I like the over 2.5 sitting at negative 205. I think you get great value out of that. I think Brandon is no easy guy just to go out there and take out. Same with Taira. I feel like neither of them are very hard. I feel like it's going to be a great brawl between these two, and I feel like it's going to go over the 2.5 and over the 3.5. I think it honestly goes to the decision. Give me Brandon Raw Dog Royval to beat Taira. And that's it for today, guys. If you guys haven't, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.